Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the sources, cut through the noise, and get you truly well-informed. And today, wow, are we diving into something big? There's this roar of anticipation. We're talking about the fight that has the entire boxing world and, frankly, pretty much every sports fan absolutely buzzing. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. This isn't just a fight. People are calling it the most anticipated event of the year, maybe more. A real once-in-a-lifetime kind of showdown. So, our mission today, basically, give you the shortcut. We want you to understand all the layers of this huge clash. We've looked everywhere, expert predictions from places like SSI.com, OddsShark, CBS Sports, Athlon Sports. We've watched like deep boxing analysis videos, boxing gems, film study, Fight Hub TV, that kind of thing. And yeah, even dove into those raw, passionate fan talks on Reddit, raw boxing. The core tension here is just, it's electric. You've got Canelo, the undisputed king at super middleweight, facing Terence Crawford, who many say is the pound-for-pound best out there. But Crawford's making this massive leap, moving up 2 full weight classes to challenge him. It's kind of nuts. So the big question for this deep dive, really for you listening, is this. Can Crawford, the smaller guy, yeah, incredibly skilled, but smaller, can he overcome the natural size, the power of Canelo at 168 pounds? What do you think? It's a question boxing legend Andre Ward, who's going to be analyzing for Netflix, has already tackled. He gave this really explicit, 5-word prediction. And his winner, Terence Crawford. So yeah, that definitely sets the stage for some major intrigue, right? Okay, let's unpack this thing, this once-in-a-lifetime fight. Let's start with the basics. Where and when is all this happening?
Right. So the big date is September 13th, 2025. And the place, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, big venue. And that date, September 13th, it's significant, Mexican Independence Day weekend, that's traditionally Canelo's weekend for massive fights.
Ah, right. Classic Canelo timing. And the broadcast is different this time.
Huge difference. For the first time, it's going to be global, but on Netflix, that's a massive shift, moving away from traditional PPV for a fight this big.
Wow. Okay. And the stakes? Obviously high, but specifically.
Couldn't be higher, really. Canelo's putting all his belts on the line, defending his undisputed super middleweight titles. And Crawford, he's gunning for history, trying to become the first 3-division undisputed champ in the 4-belt era.
3 divisions undisputed. That's wild.
It really is. Plus, it's the very first Zuffa boxing event promoted by Dana White from the UFC, so lots of new elements in play here.
Okay, and quickly, the undercard. Anything notable there for the hardcore fans?
Yeah, definitely some good stuff. You've got Christian Mbili versus Lester Martinez for an interim super middleweight title. Also, Callum Walsh against Fernando Vargas Jr., which should be interesting. But let's be real. The main event is the whole story here. It's genuinely 2 generational talents pushing the absolute limits. We always talk about pound-for-pound rankings, right? It's often this, fantasy discussion.
Totally theoretical. Yeah.
Exactly. But this fight, it takes that fantasy and just slams it into reality, real-world physics, weight, mass. It forces us to ask if pure skill can actually beat size.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
And it leads us straight into the elephant in the room, right? The weight. Crawford's huge jump. Looking at his career, what does his path tell us about just how big a deal this move up to 168 actually is?
Oh, it's an incredible journey. I mean, he started way down, amateur lightweight, 132 pounds, pro at 135. Then he dominated at 140, became undisputed at 147, welterweight.
Okay, so he's steadily moved up, but 147 to 168 is different.
Very different. And crucially, his last fight against Madrimov in 2024, that was at 154, junior middleweight. And some folks watching, on Fight Hub TV, they said he looked, slower, maybe with no power. That's a bit concerning.
Slower at 154. And now he's jumping another 2 classes.
Exactly. 2 full weight classes, straight up to 168. First time ever fighting there. And remember, he himself had said before that 154 was probably his realistic limit. So yeah, this is audacious, doesn't quite cover it.
Okay, so Crawford's basically going from maybe being stretched at 154 after years at 147 straight to 168. How does Canelo's weight journey compare? Because he's moved up too, but differently.
Almost the opposite trajectory, really. Canelo started super young, 15, fighting at 140, junior welter, but he just grew out of it fast. Moved to 154, then middleweight, super middleweight. He even fought at light heavyweight, 175 pounds back when he was 29.
So Canelo's body is just naturally bigger now.
Absolutely. He's been fighting at 168 pounds or even heavier for nearly 7 years straight. His last fight below 168 was, 7 years ago. Some analysts basically call him a natural light heavyweight at this point.
Wow. That really paints the picture of the physical challenge. So for people listening, what's the bottom line on these physical realities? This idea of mass gain isn't equal to mass grown. How does that play out?
That phrase from Boxing Gem's film study is spot on. It means Crawford can, add pounds through diet and training, but he can't change his fundamental frame, his bone density, to match someone like Canelo, who is naturally grown into that 168-pound frame over many years.
Right. It's not the same kind of weight.
Not at all. Like
Yeah.
trainer Regis Prograis said flat out, they make weight classes for a reason. Physiologically, it impacts everything. Your speed slows down carrying that, artificial weight. Your natural power might not translate the same way. And maybe most importantly, your punch resistance. Taking a shot from a guy who naturally carries 168 pounds, when your body isn't built for that, it's a whole different ballgame.
That makes sense. Like those Reddit users pointing out the 21-pound difference in Canelo's years at the weight versus Crawford's almost zero experience above 147.
Exactly. Understanding that physical reality, that disparity, is just crucial to grasping the mountain Crawford's trying to climb here.
Okay, it's clear the weight is a massive factor. Let's shift to the case for Canelo then. He's the champ at 168. He's favored.
Mhm.
What are the core strengths making him such a beast at this weight?
Well, yeah, the betting odds show it clearly. Canelo's sitting around an event 165 as of early September. A $100 bet only gets you back about $160. That favoritism. It's almost entirely down to Crawford's jump.
So it's the size advantage reflected in the odds.
Largely, yeah. And Canelo's strengths are just formidable. People talk about his explosiveness, raw strength, and power edge. A lot of experts, you see them on OddsShark or wherever, they're predicting Canelo by KO.
So it's the power, obviously. But it's more than just hitting hard, isn't it? His defense is key, too.
Oh, absolutely essential. His durability is legendary. People call it an all-time great shin. Plus, his defense is just elite. He slips, he rolls, he rarely takes a clean bomb. Fight Hub TV guys were saying he's never been hurt, really, never been in trouble, maybe just that one time with Cotto years ago. That does something psychologically to opponents.
Yeah, I can imagine. Andre Ward mentioned his ring presence, too.
Right. Ward said it unnerves and drains his opponents. Canelo just has this aura, and he can fight in so many ways, inside, outside, counter-punching. He's got that mastery in the pocket, and his body work is just vicious.
And his record. He's handled southpaws before, like Crawford.
Yeah, good point. He dealt with Ryder, Saunders, both southpaws. And like that Reddit user, Lord of War 1, said, you look at their resumes, Canelo's faced much better opposition overall.
It's fascinating how his dominance at 168 builds this wall. You hear trainers like Abel Sanchez saying Canelo stops punches very well, lands big shots, and predicting a stoppage or maybe a wide decision just out of concern for Crawford's safety.
Yeah, Sanchez is basically saying the size and power will be too much.
And Joel Diaz saying Canelo will just walk him down once he realizes Crawford can't hurt him. Even Rolly Romero. Wow, dead roach on the ground. That's brutal. What drives that level of confidence?
I think it's just the visual, the physical reality they see. Fight Hub panels, Reddit threads. The mantra is size, size, size. They bring up examples like how Canelo apparently neutralized and forced Callum Smith to back down by simply punching his arm, just sheer strength.
Punching his arm into submission.
Yeah. Combine that physicality with his defense, that relentless body attack. It looks terrifying for a guy moving up so much weight. These folks see weight classes as fundamental truths in boxing.
Okay, very compelling case for Canelo. But let's flip it. Terence Crawford. Despite everything we've just said about the weight, some top experts, and even the betting money shifting slightly, think he can pull it off. What is it about his game that gives him a fighting chance here? What makes people think he might just defy the weight classes for a reason rule?
Yeah, and that's the fascinating part, right? Because despite being the underdog, you are seeing money come in on Crawford, the line's moving. A $100 bet on him pays back $235, so people definitely believe. The case for Crawford, it really hinges on his skill, which is almost universally seen as unparalleled. His ring IQ is off the charts. And this unbreakable will people talk about.
Pound for pound king stuff.
Exactly. Widely called the most skilled fighter in boxing today, the pound for pound king, especially after that Spence fight. That was just a masterclass in precision and timing.
And Andre Ward, who picked him, really emphasized the mental side.
He absolutely did. Ward flat out said, I'm going with Terence Crawford, and his reasoning was key. Somebody has got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out. That's the core belief. His superb ring IQ, his knack for slowing things down mentally inside the ring, seeing things others don't.
Plus his adaptability, the switch hitting.
Legendary adaptability, orthodox, southpaw, inside, outside, mid-range. He can do it all. And his timing, his counterpunching, it's just impeccable. He hits guys with shots they literally don't see coming.
So connecting that to the bigger picture, How do those intangibles, the mental strength, the IQ, stack up against just raw size and power when you jump weight classes like this? We've seen fighters try it before.
And this is where the boxing purists get really intrigued, you know? Can the master technician overcome the physical disadvantages? Teddy Atlas thinks so. Atlas predicts Crawford wins. He points to Canelo maybe slowing down a bit, less movement, less activity. Atlas sees Crawford winning the outside, using angles, controlling space, kind of exploiting Canelo's slow feet like Mayweather did years ago.
The Mayweather comparison comes up again.
Yeah, strategically at least. Atlas talks about Crawford's composure, ice water in his veins, laser-like focus, and just this deep mental belief he can win. It's about the chess match, not just the physical clash.
And it's not just Atlas backing Crawford, right? I saw Tim Bradley, Mikey Garcia, even Amir Khan.
Yeah, quite a few respected names. Bradley questioned if Canelo can knock out Crawford when he couldn't finish Charlo, saying Crawford will figure out a way. Mikey Garcia thinks Canelo sometimes goes on cruise control, which could give Crawford's superb ring IQ the opening it needs.
And Khan, who fought both.
Khan suggested Crawford wins the fight easily if he avoids the big shots, noting he thinks Canelo is not the fighter he was. That idea of Canelo slipping a bit is definitely out there.
Interesting. So there's this undercurrent of belief that maybe Canelo's peak is slightly behind him, just as Crawford is attempting this huge feat.
That's a really key part of the pro-Crawford argument, yeah. Even promoter Bob Arum is predicting a KO or wide decision for Crawford, saying Canelo's gone too far back.
Yeah.
You hear it on Fight Hub panels, too, talk about Crawford's special gifts, his character, his mind. They draw comparisons to Manny Pacquiao, another smaller fighter who beat bigger guys.
The Pacquiao comparison is always interesting.
It is. And Reddit users echo it. They call Crawford the better and smarter boxer, a generational talent. Many seem convinced his skill set can overcome the size, often pointing out quite simply that Crawford has never been seen to lose. It just shows how much weight people put on those mental attributes, that adaptability. When the stakes are this high, can the mind conquer matter?
Man, this fight is just full of these conflicting ideas. It sets up so many questions that, honestly, we won't know the answers to until fight night. One thing that came up a lot on Reddit was comparing this to Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler. Does that comparison actually work, or are the situations too different?
It's a classic comparison, right? Smaller P4P king moving up to challenge the dominant middleweight champ. But there are some big differences people point out. SRL had tune-up fights at middleweight first. His weight journey was different. And Hagler, great as he was, didn't really campaign much above 160. Canelo's been living at 168 plus for years, dominating there.
Right. Canelo is truly established at the weight.
Exactly. And then there's that Medrimov fight for Crawford at 154. Some use it as evidence that weight does affect him, that he looked slower. Others just dismiss it, saying he was playing it safe, already looking ahead to Canelo. So, yeah, the context is pretty different from SRL Hagler.
Okay, what about this Canelo decline versus Crawford's age? We mentioned Khan thinks Canelo slipped. Others on Reddit agree, saying he's not the fighter he was a few years back. But then Crawford is 37, about to be 38. He's older. Yet people describe him as not used up, like he doesn't have a lot of miles on the odometer. How does that age versus wear and tear factor play into how they might fight?
It's another huge variable. You've got maybe a slightly faded Canelo versus an older but perhaps fresher Crawford. How does that translate strategically? For Crawford, the big question is his game plan. Does he try to stick and move, use his boxing skills, avoid exchanges like Charlo tried? But can he maintain that mobility, that evasiveness, carrying the extra 20-plus pounds? That's the gamble.
And Canelo's approach?
Canelo will likely apply his educated pressure. He's not going to chase recklessly, but he'll cut off the ring, force Crawford to engage, work the body relentlessly. He wants to make Crawford feel the size difference.
And the judging. Yeah. Always a factor in Vegas, especially with Canelo.
Always. That Reddit user, No Mercy for Potatoes, made a great point. Crawford might need something like a Bivol-like performance, totally dominant, to guarantee a decision win against Canelo in Vegas, a close fight. History suggests that might favor Canelo on the scorecards.
So with two fighters this smart, this experienced, how much does the mental game, the strategy, the psychological battle actually decide things, maybe even more than the physical stuff?
Well, this really brings up a fundamental question for you listening and for boxing itself. It's not just about power or speed, right? It's about adaptation, exploiting weaknesses, imposing your will. Canelo's ring presence is designed to break guys down mentally. Crawford's whole reputation is built on having that unbreakable will, on figuring opponents out. So This fight is a massive test. Can Crawford's brilliant boxing mind overcome Canelo's physical advantages? Or will Canelo's pressure and presence finally crack Crawford's legendary composure? It's genuinely a clash of wills as much as anything else.
And that really sums it up. What a deep dive into probably the most talked about fight in years. You got Canelo Alvarez, the size, the power, the proven experience at 168 pounds. And on the other side, Terence Crawford, the guy with maybe the best skills, the highest ring IQ, and this incredible mental toughness. The stakes, huge. Canelo's undisputed titles, Crawford aiming for that historic third undisputed reign. So whoever you're pulling for, hopefully this deep dive shows just how complex, how exciting this whole matchup is. It really is where those pound-for-pound arguments crash into cold, hard, real-world physics.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a final thought, really. In a sport built around weight classes, does this fight prove that pure skill can overcome those physical limits? Or are some advantages just too fundamental? What's this fight ultimately going to tell us about what makes a greatest fighter? Is it dominating within your natural division? Or is it proving you can conquer challenges across different weight classes, basically defying the sport's own structure? That's a question for the history books, really.
Yeah.